specialist in the building and homes industry for you this morning. Jason Rhoads is a digital marketing executive, AI innovator, and CEO of Rhoads Creative, a full-service digital agency focused on high-performance strategy for home builders, remodelers, and construction brands. Taking over his business, originally founded by his parents nearly 35 years ago, Rhoads leveraged his academic background in statistics and financial analytics to transition the firm into a data-first, digital-only agency. He is the creator of the Digital Marketing Ladder, a step-by-step ROI optimization framework for builders, and advocates for everywhere search optimization to help consumer brands maintain visibility across search engines, social platforms, and AI systems. He also serves on the OpenAI Small Business Advisory Committee and has been recognized as an NAHB Silver Award winner for Sales and Marketing Professional of the Year. Jason, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Thanks for that really long, fancy.
Let's
not going to talk anymore. I hate when I talk about myself.
Funny. Well, I'll have to get you to do it just a little bit more. But
that's fine. No, it's all good.
We love origin stories, so I think yours is really cool.
Sure.
So it sounds like you grew up in a family of marketers in this kind of home building ecosystem, and eventually took over the family biz. But I'd be interested. Where'd you grow up? What'd you study? And at what point did you decide to kind of work for the family biz?
Good question. Yeah. So I don't know if my background is very different from agency life, but I think it is. So you're right. My parents started the agency 35 years ago. It was a full service agency, like print, brochures, things like that. My mom was actually started as a graphic designer, and her first job was with a home builder in the 70s. So like that's how.
Wow, that's crazy.
And I have zero artistic talent whatsoever. I got none of it. So, so like I can't draw anything. So I'm not a graphic designer. So I was like, never thought I was ever going to be part of the business. My background was actually, my degree it's statistics, but like my thesis and all, it was actually in political science, and it was all on polling. And
interesting.
So like nothing to do with marketing whatsoever at all. And then I went and worked in the financial sector because numbers are numbers. It didn't really matter where it was.
Sure.
And one day my parents were just like, they were looking for some temporary help. I didn't really love where I was at. I said, I'll give this a shot. And I just kept seeing opportunities, especially in what we do in this home building sector, which is such an odd place to be honest, right? And I just kept seeing opportunities for growth and for ways that we could be different. That really just leveraged my background. So I took that and have just continued to build on it and run with it. And to this day, I still say I didn't think I would ever. This was never my thought. I was never ever wanted to be doing this or doing. I never had an inkling of that's what I was going to be doing. My goal when I started college and started political science, I was like, oh, I'm going to be in politics. I'm going to be president of the United States. And now I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. That's a whole podcast, right? But whole different podcast. But yeah, no, it's my journey, and it's not one, but it always stemmed from that background of really statistics and like, we are very niche, and unfortunately our niche really has a bad time. It does a poor job of showing ROI on advertising.
Wow. Well, it is the most expensive purchase you'll buy, hands down, right?
It is. And you'd think that it's still to this day. I know you talk to a lot on this show all the time. There's a lot of e-commerce and things like that. And what's e-commerce? Return on ad spend, return on spend, right? That's what it's all about. Still sometimes a very foreign concept. Return.
Wow.
Yeah. So
obviously the home buying journey, like we said, it's probably the most expensive purchase that you'll do. I've done mine 4 times so far in my life, probably, just shy of how many cars I've purchased since I was able to make my own decisions about what cars I wanted to drive. But what would you say is some of the biggest challenges around attribution in this space? Because, theoretically, you think about the idea that you've got this amazing ecosystem of apps now, with the home builders, when you're moving into new developments, you've got stages and model homes, and you have a logical funnel that you can kind of push people into. So what do you think are some of the reasons why the industry doesn't feel like they have to provide the level of attribution or accountability that, say, like a direct consumer company does? And what are some of the things that you are doing to close that loop?
That's fair. It's a great question. Thank you. Because I spend my day, weeks, years talking about it. It all really does boil down to attribution. It's a great question because homes are it's just different, like you said, than a consumer brand. Not just that it's a big purchase, it's the biggest purchase, right? Most of the time, but also there's so much more involved. So like you said, like when you're looking for a home, but you're also thinking of financing and mortgages. So like, where did you start on the mortgage side, or did you start on the home side? Did you start on I do think part of the reason why earlier I said there's still a lot of times a focus not on that return on ad spend is because it's really hard. Like where did they officially begin? Did they say, and it's very different than a consumer goods brand where I need a new pair of shoes. I go here, I look for it. I may check it out a couple places, things like that, and then I buy. What was my motivation that I need? We don't have enough space. We're having new kids. Like, sometimes we'll find the attribution is advertising from like baby websites, things like like that kind of thing. So like there's so many factors to it that it is super interconnected. And what my entire goal has always been, and what I have done, is develop systems for better attribution. So I love your question, because really that's the core of it. It's attribution, and a lot of builders have done a pretty poor job of in the past of doing and finding attribution. So we've had to custom build a lot of tools to do it, and sometimes go deep in. Like, I hate to say this, but sometimes you got to just do the work and figure out you got to do and track down somebody's entire path, and then start to build those paths and those journeys and put them all together. And recently, AI has started to help a ton. I will say a ton. So it started to accelerate itself. You know what I mean? So because we can find patterns a lot faster than we could. But yeah, it's a question we deal with every day because of that, and because of not just. It could be from anywhere in the home building sector, but like I said, it could be from finance. You could be looking for a mortgage. You could be happens all the time. You could be looking to do a HELOC, and you decide, you know what, we're just going to buy a new house. And that is a completely different attribution, that kind of thing. We develop a ton of, we have developed and done the work to do tools. And my whole goal is like, find the first source. And I will be honest, to round this out, is that like, unlike most, you usually can't capture the entire journey. Because it is, and so you're not going to get everything in between. It's just, there's so much, there's so many disconnect pieces that are not connected together right now. Like I have always said, I have a very strong feeling that as much as we have attribution, there's probably 20 other instances of Zillow and Realtor.com in between somewhere, because that's what people do. They just go and start flipping through, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Is there anything you could do on behavior to kind of show, like, I'm just thinking about like, the last time I bought this house here in San Diego, I was daily and definitely on the weekends visiting as many open houses as I could get my hands on. Has anybody ever tried something about like tracking, like, hey, can we show that, a mobile phone is kind of visiting these different places, like on a weekend? Can we show that like a mobile device has visited 3 houses that are on the MLS? That's a good sign. That could be something that could skip like proprietary walled gardens like Redfin that are maybe giving the signal of like, hey, I'm looking at pictures, where should I go? But I know a lot of those walled gardens now are more closed with their data because they want to give it to their agents, or they want to use that for their own monetization purposes.
It's a great question. It's things that we have tried
with
some success. Unfortunately, and they probably don't listen. Unless the National Association of Realtors listens to this podcast, maybe they do. You never know. Right? So, like, as a agency, if I'm not a realtor, I don't have access to MLS.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yes. So, like, another data point which is not connected. So yeah, I can go on Zillow. We've tried this. Go on Zillow and figure out, like, where's an open house this weekend, or hear it from their side, their realtors. But, like, I can't connect the data sources together also.
Interesting.
So I can't. Yeah. So, and it's funny you said Zillow and Redfin and HomeStop, they are walled gardens, but so is ML. That's a big walled garden.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, very cool.
Big walled garden. Very interesting. I wish is what I would say.
Yeah, totally. All right. Let's talk about the digital marketing ladder, your ROI framework for builders. Tell us a little bit about the framework. What does it entail? Give us the cliff notes.
Yes, sure. So anybody who does e-commerce can like turn this down, because it's straight from there, and it's going to sound like, yeah, no, duh. But unfortunately, it's not a no duh in what we do. The entire point of it is it's for construction. So I used a ladder. Why I say it. Okay. And it's, you got to get really good at this step before you do this, before you do this, before you do this. And so, in other words, and it's all based on the last 20 years of data of what delivers the best ROI. So, like, you got to have a great web presence, whether that's whether it's your site, whether it's landing pages, whether it's apps. You got to have a great web presence before you start thinking, okay, how are we going to advertise this? See what I mean? And you got to have a really great, and then, when we're advertising it, we should probably, in home building, the first thing you're talking about with advertising is search ads, because that's where everybody goes first. And then Zillow second after that. Don't do a lot in social, we're one of the restricted categories.
Interesting.
Yes. So because of national housing laws, because of equal housing opportunity laws.
So basically you can't layer targeting because the targeting is discriminatory.
Exactly. The targeting is technically discriminatory. So we can't layer in audiences like a regular consumer brand. So, like, that's much farther up my ladder, because it's so less targeted is what it is. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah. So you got to do search first. You got to do Zillow first. And that's the whole concept, is just get really good at this thing and squeeze everything you can out of it before you get to this. But like I said, I did it for home builders because it is very different because of the large purchase, the attribution, and like you just said, the mediums, the channels we go on have to be different because of the restrictions. Even display, video, all of it, we're restricted on targeting.
Crazy.
I know, right?
Yeah. I mean, it seems so silly. It's like, it's one thing, like, if you were advertising a loan, but if you're advertising a property, it feels like that's a little bit, bit heavy-handed.
It definitely swung very heavy-handed after certain technology companies got in trouble a couple years ago.
Got it.
And they just so, like, there are these things called 55 plus communities, and it's where you have to be 55 to move in. Like, it's deeded that way legally. It's a whole thing, but we're not allowed to age target those. Like, that's
crazy.
That's kind of crazy. Like, you're literally not allowed to move in unless you're under 55.
You're basically just wasting money.
But I'm not allowed to go on certain platforms and target by age. I shouldn't say crazy. So that's where the ladder came from. This is just very different.
All right. Talk about this idea of everywhere search optimization, because, this is probably even more relevant now in the world of AEO and GEO, kind of the new search optimization, which is trying to get, your clients to be cited in, LLMs, whether you're on Grok or ChatGPT or Gemini. So tell us a little bit about the current state of ESO.
Yeah, sure. So ESO is, I'm sorry to throw another acronym in there. My bad. On top of AEO and G. Really what it was, just like, I have a strong, like, you got to do the AEO, you got to do the GEO, but you also got to still do the SEO. And everyone, in our industry, in my niche, was still, when you said SEO, they thought you just meant Google, like Google traditional search. So that's just the concept behind ESO is just simply that. I'm just trying to say, like, no, you don't do, and then you'd say AEO or GEO, and they'd say, well, that's only AI. And it's like, well, no, just, you got to do everything. It's just,
Yeah.
you got to be in front of every search everywhere. That's what we say. Like, it's not it is all of that just combined into one thing. That's the concept behind ESO. To your of what's coming, I mean, I have found that it's funny, a lot of people in our niche thought we would be the last ones to be affected by it because it's such a large purchase. And I said to them, no, you're going to be the first one, because like you were talking about earlier, attribution and research. Talk about also the most researched product that we talk about.
Yeah, big time.
And especially when it comes to now, when it comes to financing and special things, that they do all kinds of, when you're going to buy a house now, you can do all kinds of financial mortgage play to get to try and get qualified. So that the research mode is becoming so much more important in our niche, that like it is becoming, we just did a research study, and where we recorded sessions of 20,000 different users that were doing home builder searches, and found that like 40% were starting it on an LLM of some kind. So whether
Wow.
And that was for home specifically. So like, if you're selling e-commerce shirts, that's it could be different.
Yeah.
But it's they always were like, oh, we'll be last, because they've always said, oh, we'll be last. Like, they were home building, still you don't buy a house online, or even cars now, you can just buy it all online. Like, home just still can't, they're getting there. I just kept saying no, because this is the most researched. Like, LLMs are going to affect that pipeline the most right away, and we're starting to see it. And really, how we just optimize right now is content. We're producing a ton more content, writing more content. That research has shown us all the different things we do. We've got to be, builders have to be really more, this is going to sound silly, more like an e-commerce and a consumer brand company. You know what I mean? Just continue to produce it. It's what I said 20 years ago, of like, just be like every other normal online business. But that's where it is.
What types of things are you producing for? Is it like lifestyle, where the kids would go to school? Because like I feel like now so much, like especially in the new development, the builder space, it's like, what's the community like? What's the schools like? Is there like, what are the restaurants like? What are some of the things that you can, because sometimes you think like, oh, something like home building, maybe there's only so much you can write about to kind of, do blogging and stuff like that. But, there is a lot of things that you can kind of, tackle from an editorial perspective that would, help these LLMs, but also be relevant to real buyers.
Sure. No, two things. Yes, you are 100% right. You run out of blog content, right? And what we are finding, so we started with saying like, we're going to do blog content and things like that. We've really started to transition more and more to building pages and tools. So like you were just talking about, like community, like instead of having we've just got all these, this is all the restaurants and all around you, and like this community, it's more like, we built a tool where it's like, tell us what you kind of like, where you like to go, what you like to eat, and you fill out a little quiz, and it gives you suggestions on like the communities that you would pick from based on your answer. Or a lot of if and kind of pages, if you know what I mean, right? Like that kind of thing. We're building a lot more. There's still content, honestly, so it's still written so LLMs can pick it up. But then when people see it and then engage with it, that's how we can get earlier in the funnel. That's my whole thought, is what we're doing. And very much so, like you were talking about like lifestyle before, like if you want, what do you want in a community? Do you want a place that it's just houses with land? Okay, then, tell us that. We did one where like, here's upload your picture, and it uses an LLM to upload a picture of like what you want it to look like, and it uses an LLM to help pair you to a house, like that kind of
Wow, that's cool. So you're really kind of taking on the same user behavior of why people go to Redfin, because they want to see options and neighborhoods and price points and features and benefits. Exactly. And then you're thinking about the way that they search on those platforms, and then adding that same level of interactivity to a builder, because builders have inventory oftentimes that are in, multiple places. So they have options for their
They have
customers.
options, 100% options like crazy. Yeah. And I'll be honest, really with this ESO concept, we just got to produce a ton of blogs. And it very quickly transitioned to, yeah, that works in getting LLMs to recognize you more traffic to the website. Yes, it leads to more leads, but saw very quickly that we were definitely losing some opportunities on that. And like you said, the more interactivity, more pages, more tools to get people to interact and honestly become leads. Like that's what happens too. So yeah, no, 100%. Very cool.
So you started your career in financial statistics before taking over the family marketing firm. How did your background in data change how you view marketing ROI compared to the traditional agency leaders in the category?
Sure. So I don't know if it changed it from the traditional, changed it from the niche I'm in. I will say that.
Yep.
It changed it, and I walked in, and I came from financial. I came from it was pretty simple. Did this portfolio go up or down based on did I make money? That was what I spent a lot of my time doing where I was working was doing one of two things: talking to people about what was in their portfolios, or managing the assets that went inside funds and things like that. Okay. So it's pretty simple. Did we make money or did we not make money off of the changes we made? You know what I mean? And then I got into here and said, one of the first, we did this thing, whether it's a new website, whether even, back then we did a new website, we put out an ad. It used to even be, we did this set of newspaper ads. And then the answer was okay, yeah, we got more traffic. But I was yeah, but was it from the newspaper ad? Was it from the attribution? You were saying beforehand, and then tying that back, what's the cost per lead? What's your return on investment? What's your ROAS? That just in my industry, in this niche, it's still to this day is still taught there's not a lot, don't have that number in that statistic. You know what I mean? And so that's why I say I don't know if I was groundbreaking or anything in marketing, because that's been marketing 101 forever. It's more just in the niche I'm in because of that whole, where did they come from? It could have been 20 different places. No, we got to find it and define it. And then no matter how much work we got to do, and then get it there and say so. But it was all just based on it's pretty simple. ROI.
What are some of the macro trends? Because, we always hear a narrative that there's a housing shortage and there's not enough supply, but then we're also in headwinds around interest rates. So what's kind of the current market conditions, and how hard or easy is it for you to do your job these days?
Well, I'll answer the second question first. It's really hard. So current market headwinds are tough, honestly. Yeah. I understand as a consumer why you wouldn't be very difficult to make a decision to go buy a house right now. If you bought a house, 5 to 10 years ago, you're probably at an interest rate where you're I would never make that move. And if you're an entry level buyer, prices are higher, interest rates, your whole total cost to buy is going to be high. The headwinds are really that it's not going to change much. And at some point you do have to accept the fact that it is a investment. And one of the things I have actually talked to the National Association about is I think from a marketing perspective, the building industry has done a very poor job of saying it's not a one-to-one rent to buy. If you're renting, it's not a one-to-one to buying. If you put $2,500 to rent and $2,700 to a house, it's not the same thing. You know what I mean? Right. And I think I think we haven't done a great job just at the level of education on that side. But from my day to day, the biggest thing we talk about, there's plenty of buyers. They're just don't want to pull the trigger.
Yeah, it's getting buyers past the gun shyness.
Yeah, the gun shyness, and honestly, it's hard. It's unfortunately or fortunately, it's not it's sort of past marketing. It's because we get the leads, we get them into the door, and then they do the meeting and they're very interested, and then it's very much on marketing and sales follow up is what we're talking a lot about, because it's they're interested, they're just nervous to there's a nervousness to pull the trigger, because it's the biggest purchase you're going to make. It's not it's not headphones. It's the biggest purchase you're going to make, and is now the time with, I'll just say, everything that's going on in the world. Let's just say it that way.
Yeah. So it's not just kind of like, oh, is my payment going to be higher, or like someone like me who's locked in at like 2.75.
Exactly.
It's like, for a lot of people, it's like, oh, okay, well, just getting like your head around the idea of like giving that up and going to a new mortgage.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much like I'm my position now is like, I would only buy if I could do cash, because I just can't, I can't stand getting rid of that mortgage rate.
Can't stand getting rid of it. I'm in the same exact you are personally. I can't. It's the only way I would ever do it. And I get it. The headwinds are it's not going to change very much.
Yeah.
Big headwinds. And that like this is the new norm. And that again, that's we always say at some point we feel like, and it hasn't happened yet, but at some point these people will, you gotta say, okay, I'm done, but like we can't wait another 3 years for something to change.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if there's no indications that it's going to, right?
Yeah, there's no indications that it's going to.
All right. You often emphasize fixing a brand's website and core digital assets before spending money on paid advertising. Why do you think so many companies burn money on ad spend when they haven't quite figured out their conversion funnels?
I think that it's easy. First of all, you can turn ads.
Yeah.
You can turn ads on tomorrow. Like if you really had, if you really needed it, and we agreed, I could turn the ad campaign on, or have my team turn on an ad campaign tomorrow. Or even this afternoon. It's a couple clicks. So they purposely, I've always said, the main companies purposely make it a couple clicks of a button. You know what I mean, right? To do so. That's number one. I think number two is there are a lot of promises made, whether that's from the media providers or maybe some others in the industry, of like that this will get you leads no matter what. I think that that's part of it. I think that and I also think that there is I do legitimately feel like there is this, not that you can, if you don't have that tight and you do advertise, you'll probably get something. Like, it's not like you'll get like, very rarely do you get absolutely nothing from a campaign. Like, you'll get some contact forms. It's more that what did you not get? Like, what did you waste?
Yeah.
On? Like, yes, okay, cool. You got 100, in the week you got 100 leads and you spent X dollars. But like, if you updated, all you had to do was update it and you would have gotten 200 and you missed out on those 100. That's the big
one. Yeah, it's the lost cost or the optimization.
Yeah, it's the lost cost. It's totally lost cost. I think it's time too. That like, sometimes that part does take more time, and you don't want to lose the time. You like, we got to go, that kind of thing. Like, we can't wait, that kind of thing. And I always say, like, there are other options. Like I was just talking about, you could build a landing page with a tool or something. There's other options that can be done. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait 6 months, but or even 2 months. But yeah, I think that's part of it. I really do. I don't know if I see maybe a couple, but even like, have we seen campaigns that literally return zero? I think that's rare. It's more just sometimes, right? Sometimes, but all right, maybe never. Maybe not never. You're not wrong on that. But
sure.
Yeah, you're not wrong on that. But anyway, like, you get something. It's just how much did you also miss out on?
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. I'd love to hear about how you got on the OpenAI advisory committee for SMB, because I think that's really cool. How did that come about, and what's the value that you get to be on that committee? And I imagine you probably get an early look at things coming down the pipeline. I wonder if there's anything you can talk about that you're excited about, especially as it pertains to marketing more generally, but also, your use case.
So we have been a incredibly early adopter of generative AI. So we started using it with certain platforms in our own back in 2020. So it's been a while. And we're one of the first to, we were always one of the first. I also, sometimes it's, people. So I knew some people who knew people who were putting this together, and they knew of me, and they knew I've been using it for a long time. So I was asked to just join on. And really what it just is we get together and talk about it. And when I say, from like what kind of features and things from, or how does this affect, the core usage of not the enterprise level, which is a lot of what gets talked about, but of the small business core users, which there's a ton of, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, like so many businesses. I think the people who need generative AI the most are the companies
Yeah,
that can't,
exactly.
afford to hire,
Yep.
an agency or a designer. So it seems like that would be the most prevalent use case.
Yeah, exactly. But you hear all the time, all the news and the features first are always on the enterprise level, right? That's what That's what you hear about all the time. So no, we get to look at, test, and feedback on features that will be coming on how it's going to affect that more individual user. I can't specifically say anything that's coming because I'm not allowed, but I will say that there are, models are different and better. I will just say this: better integration in a way that is not as, that is also more controlled. So it's not just taking over your entire setup is what's really being worked towards. So it's more just not just this thing you log on to, which very much is like, a coworker or something like that, but also more siloed. So it's not just taking over your machine is what's, like that kind of thing. More siloed, more where it can take over a function, but it's a little more dialed in is what I would say. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Very cool. Yeah. All right. When buyers research expensive products or homes online, what specific trust pages and social proof assets move the needle most on conversion rates?
Great question. So number one is not testimonials on your website.
Interesting. Yeah.
They think that notorious for saying putting a testimonial and videos on your website, and then they're the pages that are we put them there now for content for LLMs and things like that to give authority and PR, less than a place where people go, because the statistics on those pages are pretty rock bottom, honestly. It's totally bad. Of course, when this person said something, you're going to put up what's good about yourself. That's what's happening. So what we find is very much any page that you can put up that has third party. So there's companies that are like that's run in building called Guild Quality. It's all about the quality of your building, and they send out surveys to, anonymous, and they respond, and you have to reach a certain level to get into this. Google's business profiles, unfortunately, are a huge part because it can be unsolicited. You know what I mean? But we integrate a lot of times in web and landing. You're integrating that in anywhere that is. I'd also say, big purchase. The more that you can show on that you have built homes that have stood the test of time, and what I mean by that, and I don't mean like you show the picture of the thing that you just built and it's beautiful. Like more than enough I've done where you go and you take a picture of the house that you built 40 years ago and you're like, oh, that still looks really great, and that's got something to it, not where it's falling apart or, that kind of thing. So anything where you can show any history, but history's got to have something to it. You can't just be like, we've been around for 100 years, because a lot have, and it doesn't mean anything. And then education, because it is you're like I am. I've bought and sold we've been through a lot of transactions, I know, but a lot of first time buyers, and it's not the most simple process. Let's put it that way. So the more you can educate, the better. But yeah, don't put your own tests. Put them there for other reasons, but don't bank on them with big.
Yeah, but those are just for the bots to resource.
It's just for the bots.
All right. Taking over a 35-year-old family business and completely pivoting its core offering is a pretty big undertaking. What was the hardest operational decision you had to make during that transition?
Great question. Wow. The hardest operational would have been is definitely once we were at a point where we could start to grow, what to do first. And admittedly, I definitely made a couple mistakes before I got it right. You know what I mean?
So start somewhere though, right?
Start somewhere, right? But deciding on, okay, we've made this pivot, we're going to do it. We've grown enough from just myself and my parents that we're okay. It's time to hire out. What are we going to do first? Where are we going to do first? And honestly, the first thing we said is we're going to keep, we're going to do operationally. We're going to go we're going to someone who can do more of the work. And that was not, looking back, it was not the right choice. Not the right choice, because I'm not a salesperson. I'm not sales. So like we were just focusing operation, trying to grow. But at some point you get so tapped out, and I'm not sales, so I'm not focusing on it. I'm not business dev. So yeah, it was very much who to go first, and then who to do second, and then who to do first again, that kind of thing. So.
That's cool. So it's really, it comes down to hiring and building capabilities, but then also building your own sales pipeline or your own business development pipeline through, shoring up parts of the process that maybe you didn't enjoy as much, maybe the hunting piece, etc.
Yeah, I'm not a hunter. And, I just thought the hunting, at some point you're like, oh, well, I've hunted and I've fine hunting, but then you're hiring someone, and then you have to manage them, and you have to do your regular job, and you've brought on more people. And now you very quickly, well, I don't like to hunt. So in your brain, you just sort of start to push it off. You know what I mean? It's human nature. You start to push it off, and it's human nature. So yeah, I definitely learned some lessons on that one, but it was absolutely was building a team and hiring is what the base
makes sense. All right. Looking 3 to 5 years down the line, what do you think will separate the builder brands that win in digital acquisition versus those that will get left behind?
Great question. I think the biggest would be to continuing to digitally innovate, and that will be that in 3 to 5 years. I don't know if I can answer the question on what that will mean, right? But that, like, for now it means LLMs, but that could change to, it's not going to, I don't think it's going to change, but that could change to how you interact with LLMs or what you do. We have to be thinking, and we are thinking, but we have to think, if we're saying 3 to 5 years, there's going to be a much more integrated advertising setup in these LLMs. Let's be real, right?
Yeah, It's all coming, right?
All coming. So like, even, yes, it's in Gemini and AI and Google right now, but it's there, but it's, as you know, probably know, it's kind of there. It's part of it, but like, it's going to be much more integrated. ChatGPT has that advertising to it. Claude won't, they say, but it's going to be there's going to be I think a much bigger portion to how that all works is what it is. There's just technology in general, like you hear a lot about in our niche, a lot about augmented reality, because
I was just thinking about that. Like in my head, I was thinking about like the idea of the virtual walkthrough.
Yeah, virtual. So a lot, a couple of years ago when it was really cool, everybody was trying the headset thing, and I honestly, like many, I think, never really thought it would, because you'd have to still do something or put something on to walk through a house. You know what I mean? But I have always said, I think the more that the AR side, augmented builds, the better. That's better, because, I could very much see a lot, 50 to 60% of the sales that we talk about with our partners and clients are what we call pre-built. So they haven't built the house yet. So like,
wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. So like, you can go out there and augment, put the house on your home kind of thing, or like see your house on the piece of land that you're buying, or you could see the room, or you can see, I think that's where, like, that just staying ahead of whatever's next is who will win, whatever that next means. I think, I don't know. We don't know what the next is going to mean in 3 to 5 years, but you have to stay ahead, because I think this is the one. I think every industry is going to get upended, but I think this is the one that could be one of the most ripe, because of how AI can so change. Like, you're like build an interactive. I was talking to a company a couple of days ago where they're working on building you want to do like an interactive walkthrough, like a 3D walkthrough of a home. And they will automatically put furniture in based on that person's history and the taste, and they're like, taste.
Wow.
So like, that's really cool. And as that develops, is that the next thing? And you just got to be ahead of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think the other component is with AR, it's not just the phone and being able to pop up your camera, but these things are getting more and more, less and less expensive. And I think in the next generations will have, AR overlaid on the
Oh, I
lens,
agree.
which is
I
just
agree.
audio.
1,000%. And I agree. That's what I mean of next. If you say AR, I mean, there's you had the glasses, right?
Yeah.
We know
You're talking about the ones on your face, not on your
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah, exactly. But also, OpenAI is working on something. We know Apple's working.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So we know they're working on something. They say they say it's going to be like a puck. I'm allowed to talk because they have talked about this.
Yeah.
TBD. We know Apple's working on something when it comes to like AirPods with cameras in them and things like that. So we'll see. We'll see. But I think it's just always staying ahead of it. That's what it is.
Yeah, well, it's smart because hardware is the way you interact. Like I never would have ever installed or used Meta's AI, but because I have this hardware now, I spend some of my LLM time on Meta because it's connected to my head.
I agree.
Yeah, so the hardware. If you own the hardware, or you own the pathway between, you kind of force adoption in that way of your AI. If you own the hardware component.
It has been from 2020, since 2020, it's whoever wins the hardware game, I think is going to win the software, is going to win the LLM game at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's always been my take. I mean, history repeats itself. Apple, that's what they did.
Yeah.
They won the hardware game and they control the rails. Is what it happens.
Yeah. And Apple's really good at kind of quietly waiting to the right moment to deploy, like how do they integrate it into the phone and then make it something that they, own the path. They own the pathway. So
I agree. I agree. But stay ahead. That's
very cool. Well, Jason, fascinating conversation. Really cool to learn a little bit more about your agency and about this niche. I think we all either live in a home or want to live in a home at some point in our lives. It's one of those universal marketing experiences that we all get to deal with at some time, and it's high stakes and it's high stress, and a lot of factors go into it. So always fun to get some insider knowledge about how the best and the brightest are making these experiences better and helping people get to the right product for home purchase. So with that being said, if folks want to follow along with your thinking, stay in touch. Maybe there's a builder who is seeing this for the first time. Where do you want to send people to stay in touch?
Yeah, sure. So you can check me out on any of the socials. Most of it's just my name, Jason Rhoads. I always have to say Rhoads, no E. I said that my entire life because I spell it weird, or at least my family spells it weird. And check out our website, Rhoads Creative. Get in touch. I'm everywhere. You can always even call or text. I don't mind. It's everywhere. I'm everywhere. So, but yeah, I'm always happy to help. And thanks so much for having me on. It's been great.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, man. Really appreciate your time. And for those of you who, if you're watching the show and seeing us for the first time and you want to hear from more marketing thought leaders like Jason in the future, don't forget to give us a follow or subscribe. If you're listening to the show, an honest review on whatever podcast platform you're listening on is how we find a bigger audience. So please do that. And last but not least, if there's somebody in the building, construction, real estate space who you think would enjoy the show, maybe agency owners thinking about legacy planning in the family business and how do they get their kids excited about what they do, or maybe just somebody who you think would benefit from watching the show, don't forget to share it. And with that, Jason, I'll wish you a great weekend. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on. Have a great weekend.